Water. Testing, testing, testing. Water. Testing, testing, testing. Shalom Israel. Yahba Shem Al Shah Baraka Thumb to the brothers. Yahba Shamar Thumb by Shem Al Shah to the sisters. I'm Priest Officer Karan Yal of the IHBK, and welcome to another installment of Criminals of the Caucasus. So now, as y'all can tell by the title, we're going to jump straight into it. Salakia, big shout out to my sister, Nazama Na, the water for tapping in, sis. Yahba Shamar Thumb by Shem Al Shah. So we're going to get into it, right? Share my screen. We going over Danny Greene. You understand? Infamous Irish longshoreman / gangster. Excuse me. Salakia. Back, can you bring me a white, please? This is this devil on the screen right here. Salakia. Incense got me sneezing. So this devil right here. I'm gonna give you all a little bit of a background on how I came to find out who this devil was. You understand? And quick sidebar too. This series is not to promote the criminality of the Caucasian man. It's merely just to show blacks, Latinos, and Native American Indians that we are not to be criminals, nor are we the face of criminals, and this is their culture. So if anybody is out there still living this so-called gangster lifestyle, give them people back their culture and come follow your God. You understand? Come learn what it means, what it means to put on a mitre, you understand, instead of being a murderer or unaliver. You understand? You understand? Put on a garment instead of being a gangster, right? Go to Passover, you understand? Instead of pulling off heists, right? But this is this devil right here, all right? So now let's get into the Wikipedia of this cat right here. And to a quick sidebar, right? Well, what I was gonna say, and I didn't finish my statement, Salakia. What made me catch wind of this devil, right? If anybody know me, I like to watch movies based on true history. I'm not really a person that watches movies that's about something that's fictional. I like to watch movies about history, especially movies about crimes that Caucasians have committed. I love those movies. And the reason being is because not that I'm glorifying them, and nor do I want to be them in any shape, form, or fashion, but I like to see people in their true capacity. You understand? And the Caucasian man is the devil that the Bible speaks of. And in watching these crime movies based on true life events, you get to see exactly that. You understand? So now let's get into it. Danny Greene, Daniel John Patrick Greene, Born November 14th, 1933. He passed or was unalived on October 6, 1977. Was an American mobster in Cleveland, Ohio, whose conflicts with the Cleveland crime family of Italian-American mafia ended in Gene's murder in 1977. So he went to war with the Italian mafia in Cleveland, right? Greene would build a close working relationship with Shonder Burns, as neither of them could become a made man in the Italian mob due to lack of Italian ancestry. Excuse me. Greene first gained power in a local chapter of the International Longshoremen's Association. So he was a longshoreman. You understand? This devil was an honest working man at first. You understand? He later became a full-time crime boss and began competing with the Cleveland crime family. Jewish mob figure and one-time friend Shonder Burns, Jewish crime figure, Salakia. He later became a full-time crime boss and began competing with the Cleveland crime family. Jewish mob figure and one-time friend Shonder Burns for control of the city's criminal underworld. Greene set up his own crew called the Celtic Club, complete with enforcers and a close alliance with outlaw biker gangs. This club became the Irish Mob, the Italian mafia's main power competitor. The Celtic identity became Greene's trademark in the underworld. And the movie that I seen that actually allowed me to catch wind of who Danny Greene was, I believe it's called Kill the Irishman. You understand? It's an excellent movie. It shows you exactly how evil this dude was. Now, of course, they're not going to get into all of the depths of criminality that he was endeavoring in. You understand? But they gave you the basis of his story. This is a picture of him to the right. All right. During the 1970s, Greene aligned with mob affiliate labor union leader John Nardi during the latter's war against Jack Licavoli for leadership of the Cleveland family. Excuse me. The faction set more than 36 bombs, most attached to cars, and that's what they was doing in Cleveland in the 70s. A lot of these people that was being unalived in the 70s in Cleveland, they was using car bombings to unalive people, right? While some of the bombs were unsuccessful in their attempts to harm, maim, or kill rivals, many victims were killed. 21 of the bombings were in the city of Cleveland, and 16 of the bombings took place in the suburbs. It is estimated by the FBI that Greene was involved in 3 of every 4 bombings. Sheesh. Greene, he was going crazy with car bombings. You understand? And that's the nature of the oppressor, of the Edomite. You understand? Who is the forefather of all Caucasus. That's the nature of them. You understand? They are mass unalivers by nature. You understand? Of course, we're going to get the scripts in just a second. So like it's other bombings in Cleveland, like the Thinker statue at the Cleveland Museum of Art in 1970, Playhouse Square in 1970, and ones at Cleveland schools in the 1960s and 70s by George Cicero were unrelated to Greene and the Cleveland crime family. I highly doubt that. But after the humiliating failure of attempts on his life and Greene taunting the Licavoli faction as maggots in the local press, Greene was assassinated by Los Angeles crime family enforcers Ray Ferrito and Ronnie the Crab Caribbean. So the Cleveland mob, they couldn't fool with Danny Greene. So they had to call some out-of-town hitters, you understand, that was from a Los Angeles faction of the Italian mob. And they got him gone. A police investigation revealed that Greene's murder have been a criminal conspiracy between the mafia families of Cleveland, New York, and Southern California. The investigation also resulted in the defections of Ray Ferrito, a Los Angeles boss, Jimmy Fratiano, excuse me, these Italian names is crazy to me, Slovakia. Followed by the exposure and arrest of a mole inside the Cleveland FBI. The investigation also laid the groundwork for many federal prosecutions of the mafia. So now we're going to get into his early life, you understand? See what kind of cat this dude was. And make sure y'all like, share, subscribe, comment. You know what I'm saying? If y'all got any comments out there. Slovakia. Yeah, share these share this series, Criminals of the Caucasus. You understand? Show and I encourage y'all to show a lot of young Black, Latino, and Native American Indian brothers. You understand? Because of course, crime does not pay, especially for so-called Blacks, Latinos, and Native American Indians. And show them these series, and then y'all can do your own follow-up with these movies. You understand? To get our people to understand that, yeah, these people did live like this. A lot of them were actually successful at this. But us, we not them. You understand? Don't be a follower. Don't be like your oppressor. You understand? Because the Lord has something different in store for us. What's good for these Caucasians? What's good for the oppressors? It's not good for us. Like, it's a mobster named Carlo Gambino. He did all type of criminality in the streets of New York and became a mob boss. And he died peacefully and happily in his bed. That don't happen for Black gangsters. Salakia. It don't end well for us. All right? Salakia. Daniel John Patrick Danny Greene was born November 14, 1933 in Cleveland, Ohio, to John Henry Greene and Irene Cecilia Greene. His father was born in Cleveland. His mother was born in Pennsylvania. 3 days after his birth, Greene's mother died. He was called Baby Greene until his mother was buried, after which he was eventually named after his grandfather, Daniel John Greene. Danny's father drank heavily and eventually lost his job as a salesman for Fuller Brush. After this, Danny temporarily moved in with his grandfather, a newspaper printer, who had also been recently widowed. Unable to provide for Danny, his father placed him in a Paradale, a Roman Catholic orphanage in Parma, Ohio, 3 miles outside of Cleveland. In 1939, Danny's father began dating a nurse. He married her and they started their own family and brought Danny to live with them. At age 6, Danny resented his stepmother and ran away on several occasions. His paternal grandfather took him in, and Danny lived with him and an aunt for the rest of his childhood in the Collinwood neighborhood. Taking advantage of his grandfather working at night, Danny roamed the streets at night. So, yeah, he got into a whole lot of mischief when he was young, you understand, because he had no parental guidance during the nighttime, right? Danny attended St. Jerome Catholic School, where he developed a great fondness for the nuns and priests, developing a lasting friendship with some of his teachers and served as an altar boy. He was athletic, excellent at baseball, and was an all-star basketball player. Although Danny was a poor student, the nuns at St. Jerome let him play sports because he was valuable to the team. So Danny was essentially cool with the priests and the nuns at his Roman Catholic school, right? He was a terrible student, but they allowed him to play basketball just because he was good at playing basketball. He was an asset to the team. You understand? Which brings the fact that he went to a Catholic school shows you that being a Catholic or Christian, you understand, it's not built upon morals, because Danny Greene, growing up as a Catholic and going to Catholic school, he still became a goddamn criminal. Just like the Italians, which most Italians are Catholic. You understand? If not all of them. And the Italian mob is built, you understand, from some Catholic criminals. Reading on. Danny attended St. Ignatius High School. There he frequently fought with Italian-American students who were children of more recent immigrants struggling for a place. And he developed an intense dislike for Italians that lasted his entire life. After being expelled from St. Ignatius, Ignatius, he transferred to Collinwood High School, where he excelled in athletics. He was also a Boy Scout for a short time before being kicked out of his troop. He was also expelled from Collinwood High School due to excessive tardiness. So this dude was a troubled youth. You understand? After being expelled from Collinwood High School in 1951, Greene enlisted in the United States Marine Corps, where he was soon noticed for his abilities as a boxer and a marksman. He was stationed for a time at Marine Corps base camp Lejeune. I don't even know if I pronounced that right. Jacksonville, North Carolina, and was transferred many times, possibly because of his behavior. Greene was promoted to rank of corporal in 1953. So it says he was known for his abilities as a boxer and a marksman. You understand? I'm gonna get a script real quick. I'm gonna just pull it on my phone. That way y'all can just continue to look at the screen. All right. It's the book of Genesis, chapter 27. And verse 4. And by the sword shalt thou live. That was the blessing that the Lord gave to Esau. You understand? To the forefathers of the Edomites. By the sword they shall live. Today that sword is a gun. You understand? And when you look at the best marksmen or the best shooters, now of course, don't get me wrong, you got some Judites, you understand, some Issacharites, some of our people that fought in their wars, and they excellent marksmen. You understand? But them, they hunt on a daily basis in the woods. You understand? They slaughter and unalive buffaloes, right? These people are blessed with the sword because this is how they're going to live. You understand? This is what the Lord gave them to be able to be on top of society. They didn't get it, organically or honestly. They got it because they lived by the sword. And Danny Greene was no exception. He rose to power and prominence, you understand, in the streets of Cleveland by the force of the sword. In the early 1960s, Greene worked steadily as a longshoreman at the Cleveland docks, years before the work was unionized by the International Longshoremen's Association, or the ILA. In his free time, he read about Ireland and its turbulent history and began to think of himself as a Celtic warrior. You understand? And that's important, right? Because all of my young brothers and sisters out there that watch these series, this criminal, Danny Greene, you understand? He read about Ireland. He read about his people, you understand? And likened himself to a Celtic warrior. That's what we need to do when it comes to the Bible. You understand? When you read about Peter, Paul, John, Mark, and Luke, you understand these brothers that was disciples of Christ. You young brothers out there, you should liken yourself unto a priest. You should come into the ISBK under Commanding General Hannah and look at yourself as a soldier in the Lord's army. And eventually, you understand, do what it takes to become a part of the Lord's army. That's what these classes are about. You understand? The same way Danny Greene read about Ireland and found out about the history of the Celtic warriors, that's what we need to do when we read the Bible. We need to read about Moses, Isaiah, you understand, Ezekiel, Amos, right? Obadiah, you understand, Nehemiah. All of these brothers in these scriptures that went to war, you understand, spiritually and physically. Not saying that we going to war physically, you understand, like the Maccabees, right? Mattathias and Judas, you understand? All of these brothers, we need to read these scriptures and take hold to our culture, just how Danny Greene took hold of his culture when he read about the Irish and the Celtic Warriors. 1931, the ILA removed the president of the local union. Greene was chosen to serve as an interim president, and handily won the next election. He was known to drive a green car and wear green jackets. He loved his people. You understand that color green is synonymous with being Irish. That's why on St. Patrick's Day, you understand, a lot of people wear green. You understand? And of course, that's a whole nother breakdown. It's a drunken holiday for the Irish anyway, you understand? But people that wear green on St. Patrick's Day, they are doing that in honor of the Irish people, right? In office, he raised dues 25% and pushed workers to perform volunteers' hours to assist in providing a building fund. Those who refused often found themselves losing work. He fired more than 50 members while denouncing them as winos and bums to other workers. This dude was evil as hell. You understand? He raised dues to 25%. So they had to pay 25% out of their check to pay union dues. You understand? In order to have a building fund. And that building fund is in parentheses. You understand? Or it's like, what's that? Quotation marks? I'm bad with punctuation. You understand? But quotation marks. You understand? Like a building fund. I'm sure he was lining his pockets with that, right? Because, of course, he a criminal. You understand? Hey, Shalom, you rock a bar, sir. Yabashim Ashab Rakatah. The water for tapping in. I appreciate it, my Lord. Reading on. So he raised the union dues to 25%. He fired 50 members while denouncing them as winos and bums to other workers. He ain't saying they drinking on the job or none of that. He just slandering their character because they refused to pay that 25% out of their check. Greene led sometimes violent protests and strikes to force the stevedore companies to allow the ILA to oversee the hiring of dock workers. To land a job as a longshoreman, many workers had to unload grain from the ships on a temporary basis and turn their paychecks over to Greene. Said to have been collected to build a union hall. Most of the funds ended up in Greene's bank account. So he was extorting these workers. You understand? This is a criminal. Reading on. An unidentified ILA member would later recall about Greene. He read on the waterfront. He imagined himself as a tough dock boss, but he was 30 years too late. He used workers to beat up union members who did not come in line. But he was never seen fighting himself. Man, they said he was a coward, basically. As a union organizer, Greene sometimes declared work stoppages as frequent as 25 per day to demonstrate to company owners his authority on the docks. On one occasion, he threatened to murder the 2 children of one owner, and the FBI put the man's house and family under protection. After Sam Marshall, an investigative reporter, collected affidavits that supported charges of extortion, Greene was exiled from the union and convicted of embezzlement. The conviction was later overturned on appeal. Rather than face a second trial, Greene pled guilty to the lesser charge of falsifying union records, was fined $10,000 and received a suspended sentence. He basically admitted to embezzlement because he didn't want to go through another trial. He was like, "Look, I'll take the lesser charge." You understand? Had to pay $10,000 and then they gave him a suspended sentence. After returning to his rackets, Greene met and befriended Teamsters boss Louis Triscaro, who introduced Greene to Jimmy Hoffa. I know y'all know who Jimmy Hoffa is. After the friendly meeting, Hoffa later said to Triscaro, "Stay away from that guy. There's something wrong with him." According to Nancy Greene Hegler, Greene was a bit like Jekyll and Hyde, a reference that lends insight upon his volatile personality. Eventually, Marty McCann of the Organized Crime Division of the FBI recruited Greene as an informant. Greene passed along information to the FBI and became a confidential informant. So this dude was not only oppressing his workers, you understand, wreaking havoc and violence on hardworking, tax-paying men, you understand, embezzling money from them, but he also was a low-down, dirty rat. He was a snitch. You understand? Greene's code name was Mr. Patrick, a reflection of his pride in his Irish heritage. They funny as hell. And I'm sure Mr. Patrick didn't come from Danny Greene. It came from his FBI handlers. This is hilarious. Oh man, family. Salaki. I'm not done yet with this. The ILA began its own investigation and soon removed Greene from office. Eventually, Greene was convicted in federal court of embezzling $11,500 in uniform funds on 2 counts of falsifying records. The verdict was overturned by appeals court. Federal prosecutors and Greene negotiated a settlement of Greene's guilty plea in exchange for 2 misdemeanor charges and a $10,000 fine, but he only paid a fraction of it. Man, to be white in America, you understand? He didn't even pay all of his goddamn fine. They gave him 2 misdemeanors. Matter of fact, Salakia. Let me see when this happened. When was this? Give me a second, y'all. What year was Danny Greene indicted for embezzlement? For embezzlement, excuse me. 1964, right? How much was $11,000 worth in 1964 today? So he embezzled about $115,000, somewhere in that ballpark. This man stole all of that working from them stole all of that money from them hard-working men. You understand? In them longshoremen shipyards. Greene was married twice. He was married to June Tears from 1953 to 1956. His second marriage was to Nancy Hegler from 1956 to 1960. He and Nancy had 5 children. In 2025, Greene's son, Daniel Kelly, served as a city councilman for the city of Cleveland. Wow. You mean to tell me your daddy could be a criminal if you're a Caucasian man, wreak havoc on the streets that you grow up in, you understand, be unalive because he was a criminal, and then his son can grow to be a city councilman. Felix Mitchell's son out here in Oakland ain't no city councilman. If Lil D got sons out here in Oakland, his son is not a city councilman. You understand? It don't work like that for black people. Oh, Salakia. Salakia, reading on. Criminal career. Greene was hired by the Cleveland Solid Waste Trade Guild to keep the peace. Impressed with his abilities, mobster Alex Shonder Burns hired him as an enforcer for his various numbers operations. Man, look, Alex Shonder Burns, this is a so-called Jewish man. They indulged in crime for years, probably to this day. Salakia. The Cleveland Mafia family underboss Frank Brancato used Greene and other Irish American gangsters during the 1960s to act as muscle to enforce the mafia's influence over the garbage hauling contracts and other rackets. Until his death in 1973, Brancato reportedly regretted having brought Greene into the mob due to the damage Greene did. Wow. So you mean to tell me a mob boss regretted bringing this Irish guy on because he did so much damage? For example, in May 1968, under Burns' orders, Greene was supposed to attack a black numbers man who was holding out on protection money due. Unfamiliar with the military type detonator, Greene barely made it out of his car before the bomb exploded. He survived being thrown 20 feet, although the hearing in his right ear was damaged. Whew. They wasn't playing with these, boy. This dude almost killed himself trying to go attack a black numbers cat, right? Big Mike Fratto broke away from the Cleveland Solid Waste Trade Guild and founded the more legitimate trade group called the Cuyahoga County Refuse Haulers Associations. A legitimate businessman, he protested Greene's bringing mob involvement and strong arm tactics to the guild, although he had his own connections. The Cleveland Solid Waste Trade Guild fell apart shortly thereafter. In September 1970, Greene instructed Art Schneberger to place a bomb on Fratto's car, but Schneberger had second thoughts and told Fratto. Schneberger was a police informant and told Sergeant Edward Kovacic of the Cleveland Police Intelligence Unit about Greene's plans and Greene's role as an FBI informant. Greene once again ordered Schneberger to plant a bomb on Fratto's car in 1971. Baby, it's popcorn ready. The bomb detonated before Schneberger could get away, killing him and sparing Fratto, who was across the street. Police suspected that Greene may have purposefully detonated the bomb early with the intention of sending a message to Fratto. Some investigators believe the premature explosion was caused by a radio signal, possibly from a shortwave radio or a passing police car. Others thought that Burns and Greene killed Schneberger after learning he was an informant. Sergeant Kovacic was told by an underworld source that Greene had pushed the detonator, killing Schneberger instantly. The case was never officially solved. On November 26, 1971, Fratto was shot and killed at Cleveland's White City Beach. Greene was arrested and interrogated. He admitted to the killing, but claimed self-defense. He said Fratto had fired 3 shots at Greene, who was jogging, exercising his dogs, and fired 1 back. Evidence seems to corroborate Greene's story, and he was released. Cleveland police later learned Fratto was armed and had an opportunity to kill Greene several weeks prior to the White Beach shooting. During their partnership, Greene and Fratto had become so close that they had named sons after each other. And this show good, and this scene about this dude named Fratto, this is in the movie. You understand? Killing the Irishman. But this is in the movie, you understand? And it shows you how disloyal, you understand, these Edomites are. You understand? These dudes were so close that they named their sons after each other. But ultimately, one of them tried to kill the other one in self-defense. He blew his head off. Not long afterwards, Greene again found himself at Target while jogging in White City Beach. A sniper concealed several hundred feet away fired several shots at Greene from a rifle. Instead of ducking to the ground, Greene pulled out his revolver and started shooting. While running toward the would-be assassin, the sniper fled and was never positively identified. Investigators learned that this attempt was a part of a murder contract left by Burns. Greene left his wife and their 3 children for their own safety and moved to Collinwood, where he rented an apartment. Journalist Ned Whelan wrote about Greene. Imagine himself as a feudal baron. He supported a number of destitute Collinwood families, paid tuition to Catholic schools for various children, and, like the gangsters of the 20s, actually had 5 20-pound turkeys delivered to needy households on Thanksgiving. Black people, understand this. When you see the movie New Jack City, when Nino Brown gave out all of those turkeys, you understand, to the same community that he destroyed with drugs. Frank Lucas did the same thing. You understand? Ellsworth Bumpy Johnson did the same thing. All of these brothers wanted to be like these white boys. They wanted to wreak havoc on the black community, push drugs, you understand, extort their own people, and then pay rent and college tuition and give out turkeys on Thanksgiving. That's evil as hell, you understand? He often picked up restaurant tabs for friends, neighbors, and acquaintances and left generous tips. Greene evicted a bookmaker who operated out of a small Waterloo business and kept a local bar in order by making personal visits. You understand? Like, this wasn't no good dude. Yeah, he looked out for a couple of white families, you understand, that was less fortunate and down on their luck. But he was able to do this because he was giving hell and heartache to other families. He was unaliving fathers, leaving households fatherless. You understand? Leaving households jobless, taking money out of these families' pockets. You understand? And kids going hungry because of this devil. The Celtic Club. Greene formed his own crew of young Irish American gangsters called the Celtic Club. His main enforcers were Keith, the Enforcer Ritson, Kevin McTaggart, Brian O'Donnell, Danny Greene Jr., Billy McDuffie, Elmer Britton, Ernest Ted Waite, Art Sneppinger, and Jimmy Ice Pick Sterling, who set up gambling dens across the city. He also aligned with John Nardi, a Cleveland crime family, labor racketeer who wanted to overthrow the leadership. And you can read, and when you watch the movie, you'll see John Nardi in the movie too, or a character of John Nardi in the movie too. Like, this dude was evil. You can be a pastor, but you can't have a position in the government. Right. Now, absolutely. You can be a pastor, but you can't have a position in the government. You understand? The relationship between Greene and Burns began to sour. Greene had asked Burns for a $75,000 loan to set up a cheat spot, a speakeasy, and gambling house. Basically, you understand, this was basically a brothel / casino. You understand? Where you can go in there and pay for whores, and you can gamble and get drunk. Burns arranged for it through the Gambino crime family, but the money was lost in the hands of Burns' courier, Billy Cox, who used it to purchase cocaine. This is in the movie too. The police raided Cox's house, arrested him, and seized the narcotics and what was left of the $75,000. Matter of fact, Salakia. How much is 75,000 in today's money? Oh, excuse me. How much is 75,000 in 1970 worth in today's money? And I'm just estimating 1970. So this is about 600 grand, over $600,000 that he bought from Burns, which was a Jewish man, and he got the money from the Gambino crime family, right? I'm gonna read that again. Oh, Salakia. Burns arranged for it through the Gambino crime family, but the money was lost in the hands of Burns' carrier, Billy Cox, who used it to purchase cocaine. The police raided Cox's house, arrested him, and seized the narcotics and what was left of the 75,000. The Gambino family wanted their money, and Burns pressed Greene, who refused to return it, reminding Burns that he could not return something he had never received, and that Burns was responsible for it since Burns' carrier lost it. To settle the dispute, Burns directed an associate to hire a hitman for Greene, gave him $25,000 for the job, and noted it should be carried out even in the event of any and noted it should be carried out even in the event of any harm befalling Burns. So Burns was like, "Look, bro, I got this 25,000 for you to get rid of this Greene's cat, and even if I'm not here to see you get rid of him, do what you got to do. You understand? Even if I die in the process." Several minor underworld characters, burglars by trade, took the contract, but their numerous assassination attempts on Greene failed. Greene was a cold dude. He wasn't easy to kill. You understand? Not long afterward, Greene found an unexploded bomb in his car when he pulled into a Collinwood service station to get gas. The explosion was wired improperly and failed to detonate. Greene disassembled the bomb himself, removed the dynamite, and brought the rest of the package to a policeman, Eric Caucasus. Caucasus ordered him police protection, but Greene refused it. He was prideful, you understand? Even though he a rat, even though he know his money on his head, but he didn't want the police protection. He thought he was Billy Badass, excuse my French. Suspicion that Burns had ordered the hit, Greene decided to retaliate it. On March 29, 1975, Holy Saturday, the eve of Easter, Burns was blown up by a bomb containing C4, a potent military explosive, in the lot behind Christie's Lounge, formerly Jack and Jill West Lounge, a go-go spot at 2516 Detroit Avenue near St. Malachi's Church. On March 12th, another explosion rocked Collinwood, and you can see this scene when Burns was blew up on the streets. You understand? That scene is in the movie as well. March 12th, another explosion rocked Collinwood. Greene's building at 15805 Waterloo Road was destroyed, but he sustained only minor injuries. As the second floor fell, he was shielded by the debris of a refrigerator that had lodged against a wall. A second, more powerful bomb failed to explode, but for Greene, for which Greene credited the intercession of St. Jude's, whose medal he always wore around his neck, and that's in the movie too. In 1975, Greene began to push into the vending machine racket traditionally controlled by the mafia, as well as muscling into gambling operations. This angered the Cleveland family leadership, especially soldier Thomas the Chinaman Senito. Greene controlled some of the more lucrative laundry contracts that Senito wanted, and Senito deemed the fees excessive to Greene, charged for coin-operated laundry contracts extortion. In Greene's competition with the mafia to build a vending machine empire, John Conte became a victim. Conte owned a vending machine company that provided slot machines to various private clubs and parties, while working as a route man for another one. Conte was also a close friend of Joseph Gallo. One of Conte's on the day of Conte's disappearance, he told his wife he had a meeting with Greene. That was the last time she saw him. His badly beaten corpse was discovered a few days later at a dump site in Austintown. Police investigators thought that Conte was beaten to death in Greene's trailer and his body later transported to Austintown. They found some physical evidence, but Greene was never charged with Conte's murder. This dude was doing everything he could to provoke the mob. Like, Greene didn't give a damn about them Italians. You understand? Remember, he hated them from his youth, right? In 1976, longtime mobster John Scalish died, leaving control of Cleveland's lucrative criminal operations, specifically the city's Teamsters Union locals, up for grabs. Upon Scalish's death, Greene became the most powerful enemy of the Cleveland mob. Scalish had appointed James Licavoli as his successor, but other mobsters, such as John Nardi, challenged Licavoli from leadership of the organization. Within weeks, with Greene's assistant, Nardi had many of Licavoli's supporters killed, including Licavoli's underboss, Leo Lips Masseri. The Cleveland family's enforcer, Eugene the Animal Ciasulo, was seriously injured and sidelined for several weeks by a car bomb. Soon afterward, a bomb planted in Alfred Ali Calabresi's car killed an innocent man. Frank Persio of Collinwood died while moving Calabresi's Lincoln Continental before getting in his own car out of their shared driveway. This began a long-standing war between Licavoli's Cleveland crime family and Greene's Celtic Club. In 1976 alone, 36 bombs exploded around the Cleveland area, which was soon given the moniker Bomb City, USA. The ATF tripled its staff in Northeast Ohio in order to handle the bomb investigators. A suspected bomb maker, Martin Heedman, was arrested but was released for lack of evidence. Rick Porello reported in his book, To Kill the Irishman, that Greene, using bombs or bullets, killed at least 8 of the mafia hitmen sent to assassinate him. This dude, Greene, was a bad dude. You understand? He was a bad MFer, right? Media personnel. Now, these are his final days. After the Waterloo Road bombing failed to kill him, Greene played up the stories of the mafia's failed assassination attempt to his benefit. His bravado and flamboyant behavior only added to his growing aura of instability and power in the urban legends of the Cleveland criminal underworld. So he was taunting these dudes, you understand, in the media, right? Greene granted interviews to local television stations for a newspaper photographer posed proudly in front of a boarded up window of his destroyed apartment building, and during a televised interview said to one television reporter, "The luck of the Irish is with me, and I have a message for those yellow maggots." Oh, he was talking big shit, excuse my French. That includes the payers and the doers. The doers are the people who carried out the bombing. They have to be eliminated because the people who paid them can't afford to have them remain alive. And the payers are going to feel great heat from the FBI and local authorities. And let me clear something else up. I didn't run away from the explosion. Someone said they saw me running away. I walked away. This dude had cojones on him. In response to the reporter's assertion, that, like a cat, Greene had 9 lives, Greene said, "I'm an Irish Catholic. I believe that the guy upstairs pulls the strings, and you're not going to go until he says so. It just wasn't my time." In another televised interview, Greene denied any knowledge of the underworld. He said, "I have no axe to grind. But if these maggots in this so-called mafia want to come after me, I'm over here by the Celtic Club. I'm not hard to find. Bruh, y'all gotta understand. Like when you see these brothers on Instagram, you understand, going back and forth with each other because they beefing over some gang stuff and be like, man, drop your location. This came from them. Like this came from these Irish and Italian mafias. He said, bro, I'm right here by the Celtic Club. I ain't hard to find. He dropped location in newspapers and on TV. It's crazy. On May 17, 1977, Greene's longtime ally, John Nardi, was killed by a bomb planted by Pascal Sister Nino and Ronald Carabia. After Nardi was murdered, Licavoli arranged a ceasefire with Greene, hoping to catch him off guard and then have him killed. Shortly after their meeting, Greene muscled in on a large West Side gambling operation originally ran by Nardi. Greene offered a percentage to Nicavoli, who declined it. The Cleveland Mafia, particularly the Pirello and Licavoli crime families, saw Greene as a major threat that needed to be neutralized. The plan to assassinate him was orchestrated by members of these families, with key figures such as James Jack White Licavoli and Angelo Big Ange Leonardo playing significant roles. They hired Ray Ferretto, a member from the Los Angeles mob, to help get the job done. The plot involved meticulous planning and the use of sophisticated explosive devices, a method that had been both favored and survived by Greene himself. On October 6, 1977, Greene went to the dental appointment at the Brainerd Place office building in Lyndhurst, Ohio, and this scene is in the movie as well. Members of the Mafia had tapped his phone and knew about the appointment. In an attempt to throw off his enemies, Greene was borrowing his fellow mob member's car. However, Ferretto was still able to identify Greene while Greene was in his appointment. A bomb car was moved into the spot directly next to Greene's car, and this scene is in the movie as well. After Greene had visited a dentist and left the office building, he approached his car. The automobile parked next to his exploded, killing Greene instantly. The car bomb was believed to have been planted by a hitman known as Ray Ferretto. A young woman who witnessed Ferretto pulling out of the parking lot prior to the bomb exploding locked eyes with Ferretto and copied down his license plate. Later, she sat down to draw a sketch of Ferretto. The female witness was Debbie Spot, a sketch artist and daughter of Berea police detective Art Volpe, who had handed the sketch over to Lieutenant Andy Vagno at Cleveland Intelligence. After gathering more evidence, just a few weeks later, Ferretto would confess his crimes to the FBI. Greene's remains were cremated on October 8, 1977, and he was buried at Calvary Cemetery in Cleveland. Aftermath. Ray Ferretto was arrested in relation to Greene's murder. Ferretto implemented Jimmy Fratiano in the planning of the murder, and Fratiano was indicted for charges relating to the bombing. Ferretto was a snitch as well. Fearing for his safety, Ferretto agreed to become a government witness against the mafia. When asked, Ferretto felt no remorse for killing Greene, stating, "To me, it was like having a glass of wine." Man, these bastards are evil. It's like they have no conscience. He said, taking a man off the earth was like having a glass of wine. It didn't mean anything to me. In return of his testimony, he pleaded guilty to murder charges and received a 5-year prison sentence, of which he served 21 months. In 1980, after testifying for the government that led to the racketeering convictions of 5 reputed mafia figures, Ferretto entered the witness protection program. You understand? These Caucasians are evil as hell. Now let me go to the scripts real quick. I'm gonna just pull a few scriptures. I'm gonna go ahead and end it. course, we're going to go to Proverbs chapter 3 and verse 31. This is the book of Proverbs chapter 3 and verse 31. So let me share my screen. And it reads, envy thou not the oppressor, and choose none of his ways. Black men, Latino men, Native American Indian men, it's not on us to be gangsters. It's not on us to be criminals or crime bosses. That's not our culture. That's not our heritage. The Lord said, don't envy your oppressor. Don't look at figures like Danny Greene, Lucky Luciano, you understand, Donald Trump, Andrew Jackson, all of these damn criminals that I'm going to cover on this series. Don't look at them and be jealous of everything that they obtained by living life as a criminal. You understand? And the Lord said we shouldn't choose none of their ways. We shouldn't be like the goddamn oppressor. You understand? You know why? Because his culture is not ours. The Lord don't want us to be robbers, murderers, thieves. You understand? The Lord don't want us to indulge in no type of criminality. We're supposed to be the righteous on planet Earth. You understand? Salakia. We supposed to be the people that set the precedents, you understand, to show these evil other nations, you understand, that living a life of crime is illegal according to the Lord. This is a book of Exodus chapter 20 and verse 13. Thou shalt not kill. The Lord don't want us to be murderers. The Lord don't want us to go to and fro committing crimes. You understand? The Lord said we ain't supposed to kill. We not supposed to steal. You understand? Verse 14, thou shalt not commit adultery. That's their culture. You understand? To sleep with each other's wives, or they women to be whores and step out on their marriages. That's their culture. Verse 15, thou shalt not steal. You understand? Verse 16, thou shalt not bear false witness against thy neighbor. Verse 17, thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's house. Thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's wife, nor his manservant, nor his maidservant, nor his ox, nor his ass, nor anything that is thy neighbor's. You understand? That's what all of these Caucasians did. They coveted what the other white man has. You understand? I'm going to pull one more scripture and then I'm going to, Salakia. Hold on, give me 1 second. Salakia. 1 Timothy chapter 6 and verse 10. The book of 1 Timothy chapter 6 and verse 10. For the love of money is the root of all evil. When you love money, you understand, that is the beginning of all evil. When you love money, you'll do anything for it. You understand? Like that love of money, it's going to spring up anything that you can do for that money. And it's, of course, 10 times out of 10, it's going to be evil. If you love money, you're going to scam, you're going to murder, you understand? You're going to steal, you're going to rob, you're going to take, right? For the love of money is the root of all evil, which while some coveted after, they have erred from the faith and pierced themselves through with many sorrows. That's what we do. You understand? When we love money, we err from the faith. You understand? Right? We pierce ourselves through with many sorrows. And what's that? We're going to go to jail. You understand? You going to do something that's going to get somebody in your family killed because you did something that was vile and wicked in order to obtain some money. You're going to do life in prison or do so many goddamn years to where you're going to be sitting on a rack with a cellie, you understand, another grown man farting in a damn cell with you, right? Locked up for 23 hours a day. You understand? You got to eat noodles, right? You got to literally cook food on your goddamn bed that thousands of men have laid on before you even got there. You understand? Those is them sorrows that you gonna pierce yourself with. You understand? Blacks, Latinos, Native American Indians, bro. Get them white people back their culture, bro. You understand? And start wearing these mitris. Coming to this ICBK under Commander General Yana. Understand what this shield of David means. You understand? Understand what it means to wrap your head with a mitri. Understand what it means to be a priest and prophet of the Lord. Understand what it means to work for God instead of serving your own lust and want to be like your oppressor. With that being said, this was another episode of Criminals of the Caucasus. The water to y'all for rocking with me. If y'all could, like, share, subscribe if you haven't. You understand? Shalom, Israel.